Everyone, today we're talking about Thomas. Thomas, the one called Didymus, one of the 12, wasn't with the disciples when Jesus came. The other disciples told him, "We've seen the Lord." But he replied, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger in the wounds left by the nails and put my hand in his side, I won't believe." After 8 days, his disciples were again in a house, and Thomas was with them. And even though the doors were locked, Jesus entered and stood among them. He said, "Peace be with you." And then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. Look at my hands. Put your hand into my side. No more disbelief, believe." And Thomas responded to Jesus, "My Lord and my God." Jesus replied, "Do you believe because you've seen me? Blessed are those who don't see and yet believe." Jesus did many other signs in his disciples' presence, signs that aren't recorded in this book. But these are written so that you will believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you will have life in his name. Now, as usually the case, I kind of want to defend Thomas in this story because really he just wants the same spiritual experience that all of his friends just had. He just barely missed it. And, it also takes some courage to admit your doubts, to admit, I'm not sure about this. Part of the reason is beliefs are always tied to belonging. And so if you admit something like that, you may end up being excluded from the group. And that's a scary proposition. But honesty can actually lead to a deeper experience of Christ. Because he confesses that he's not sure what he is looking for, it leads to the greatest confession in all of the Gospels when Thomas calls him my Lord and my God. But really, John is using Thomas to say something to us, something about us. Thomas didn't get to see the resurrected Jesus, and he wants to, but it's only a week later, so it's not unreasonable that he might expect that. And we believe that Christ is still alive and that there are spiritual encounters that happen. There's plenty of accounts that you can find. But that kind of experience of Christ, well, it's not something that you can depend on or you should expect with 100% certainty. So we may not see Christ in that way, but what we do see are signs. And signs are a big theme in John, as we talked about. Because a sign is something that you do see, which points you to something that you don't see yet, at least. And so the story is a reminder that life can be experienced now. There are ways that we can truly experience the presence of Christ right now. We ask questions, and we also have trust. The balance of those is how disciples still see Jesus.